In a grand ballroom where golden chandeliers cast dazzling light across polished marble floors, the air buzzed with the laughter of the elite, their glasses clinking in a symphony of privilege. Amid the opulence, a small figure stood in a shadowed corner, her presence almost swallowed by the grandeur. She was a little girl, delicate as a sparrow, her plain dress and scuffed shoes stark against the extravagance. Her hands, trembling yet resolute, hovered over the gleaming keys of a grand piano. Her name was Anna, and her eyes burned with a quiet fire, a determination that cut through the room's decadence like a blade. The crowd's chatter felt like sharp thorns, each laugh a reminder of her place outside their world. Then, a voice boomed above the din, Alexander Gray, a millionaire draped in confidence and a tailored suit, his words dripping with mockery. "Play something for us, little one," he taunted, his smirk wide. "Impress me, and I'll adopt you." The guests chuckled, their amusement cruel, as if Anna were a mere prop in their evening's entertainment. But to her, those words were no jest, they were a lifeline, a shimmering promise of a life she'd only dared to dream of. If you're captivated by stories of hope, courage, and the magic of second chances, hit that like button, share this tale with your friends, and subscribe to Midnight Tales. Your support fuels these stories that light up the world with kindness and remind us what truly matters. Anna was only 7, but her life had been a tapestry of hardship woven with threads of resilience. Abandoned as a toddler, she'd been tossed between foster homes, where neglect was a constant shadow and hunger a familiar ache. Yet, in the midst of her struggles, she found solace in a dusty corner of an old orphanage, where a forgotten piano sat among broken toys and discarded dreams. The first time her fingers brushed its keys, a halting, imperfect note sang out, and something inside her stirred. Music became her refuge, her voice when words failed, her way to stitch together the pieces of a heart too young to bear such weight. Now, standing before this glittering crowd, she felt the weight of their stares, some curious, most mocking. Alexander Gray, the man who'd thrown down this challenge, was a titan of wealth, his arrogance as renowned as his fortune. To him, this was a game, a fleeting amusement to flaunt his power. But for Anna, it was everything, a chance to rewrite her story. Her small hands trembled above the keys, her heart pounding so fiercely she thought it might burst. Did she even belong here, in this world of sparkling chandeliers and polished smiles? Doubt gnawed at her, but she pushed it aside, clinging to memories of countless nights spent practicing under the faint glow of moonlight. She recalled the nuns at the orphanage, their stern whispers urging her to stop playing so late, but she couldn't. The piano was her pulse, the only thing that made her feel alive. Now, with every eye on her, she had to let her soul sing. Her fingers pressed down, and a shaky note rang out, followed by a stumble, a wrong key. A snicker rippled through the crowd, and Alexander leaned back, his smirk widening. But Anna didn't falter. She closed her eyes, shutting out the glitz, the judgment, the cruelty. In her mind, she was back at the orphanage, alone with her piano, where the world couldn't touch her. Her fingers found their rhythm, and what poured forth was no practiced piece, it was raw, unpolished emotion, a melody woven from loneliness, longing, and a stubborn spark of hope that refused to fade. The room stilled. The laughter dissolved, replaced by a hush that spread like wildfire. Guests who'd scoffed moments before now leaned forward, captivated by the sound flowing from Anna's small hands. It wasn't flawless, there were stumbles, uneven tempos, but it was alive, each note pulsing with the purity of her heart. Her tiny frame swayed as she played, eyes still closed, lost in a world where pain and beauty danced together. The music was her story, a tapestry of loss and dreams, and it wove a spell over the crowd. Even the most cynical among them fell silent, drawn into the magic of her song. Alexander's smirk vanished. He leaned forward, his eyes locked on the girl who'd turned his cruel jest into something transcendent. For the first time in years, a crack formed in the armor of his pride. Memories long buried surged forward, his mother, her gentle hands on a piano, playing for him before illness stole her away. He'd sealed those memories behind walls of wealth and power, convincing himself vulnerability was a flaw. But Anna's music shattered those walls, stirring something deep within him he thought he'd lost. When the final note hung in the air, the silence was electric. No one clapped, no one spoke, they were too awestruck. Anna opened her eyes, slowly, as if emerging from a trance, and met Alexander's gaze. In that moment, she wasn't just an orphan, she was a force, demanding to be seen. Alexander's throat tightened. He wanted to laugh, to brush off the moment as he always did, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he rose, his polished exterior crumbling under the weight of what he'd just witnessed. The room erupted in applause, but he barely heard it. All he saw was Anna, her hands still resting on the keys, waiting for his verdict. The crowd expected him to play his part, to toss out another quip and move on. But Alexander was done with games. In that moment, he saw the hollowness of his life: mansions, money, influence, but no warmth, no connection, nothing real. And here was this girl, pouring her soul into music that reminded him of everything he'd forgotten. Anna stood frozen, her heart hanging on his promise. Adoption wasn't just a word to her, it was safety, love, a place to belong. She'd never known a true home, only cold beds and empty promises. Alexander stepped toward her, each stride heavy with the weight of his unraveling pride. When he reached her, he knelt, his eyes level with hers, and in a voice soft but steady, he said, "You've given me something no fortune could ever buy. From today, you're not alone." Tears brimmed in Anna's eyes, and for the first time in years, she let herself believe. The crowd's applause swelled, but for Anna and Alexander, the world had narrowed to just them. He wrapped his arms around her, gentle yet firm, and she clung to him, as if afraid he'd vanish like so many dreams before. Their story didn't end with that embrace. Adoption is a journey, not a moment, paved with paperwork, patience, and unyielding commitment. Alexander faced whispers from his peers, some mocking him for softening, others questioning his motives. But he didn't care. For the first time, he had a purpose beyond bank accounts and boardrooms. Anna, too, had battles to fight, scars from her past didn't fade overnight. Trust came slowly, fear lingered, but with Alexander's steady presence, she began to heal. The piano remained her haven, but now it was shared. She played for him, her melodies filling their home with warmth. Sometimes, Alexander would sit beside her, his clumsy fingers fumbling over the keys until they both dissolved into laughter, the kind that binds hearts together. As months turned to years, their bond grew unshakable. Alexander learned that true wealth isn't measured in dollars but in the lives you touch, the love you give. Anna discovered that even the most shattered hearts can find family in the unlikeliest places. Together, they wrote a new chapter, one of redemption, hope, and music that echoed through their lives like a song that never fades. If this story stirred your soul, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs a spark of hope, and subscribe to Midnight Tales. Your support keeps these stories alive, reminding us that kindness can rewrite even the darkest destinies. Drop a comment below with "Love always wins" if you believe compassion can change lives. Because this tale proves it, no matter how broken the past, no matter how cold the world, love has the power to transform everything.